This is the Tower of Monsters, a sudden disaster that showed up in the world long ago. Bees swarming out of a hive, humanity was helpless before these monsters and pushed to the edge of dying out. With barely any hope left, a small group called the Progenitors stepped forward to become the very first to rise above it all. They drove back the monster horde and brought the tower crashing down. Then humans stopped the monsters and won the fight. The heroes were loved as the world's saviors, and when they died, they were laid to rest in the holy ground of the first people. Many centuries have gone by since that day. When Minato was just a child, he spent his time in the sanctuary's library dreaming of heroes, especially the legendary Blade Master who once took down 10,000 monsters with a single swing of his sword. Or the mage who figured out magic secrets and could cast any spell without saying a word. In these tales, heroes were giants who inspired a man named Minato to dream of his own legendary moment, until the day a special sign finally appeared for you. One of the signs that marks everyone chosen to become transcendent. He promised that one day he would reach a greatness so high that his name would be remembered alongside the very first heroes. At least that's what the boy thought. They've finally announced the results. When everyone passes the exam, they all throw a big party to celebrate their success. However, not everyone made it, because Minato got the news that he didn't meet the rules to get approved. While everyone else is cheering and happy, the boy is the only one who feels sad in the room. Some of his classmates even ask him to clean the classroom so they can go out and celebrate. Everyone jokes that signing your name makes you a transcendent, but he has failed that hunter exam 3 years in a row. You're allowed to try the test only 3 times, so this was his last shot before it was all over. Now he'll never be a hunter again. Even though he aced the written test and his confidence soared, he keeps wondering what went wrong with his grade, fearing he might not be able to graduate. The symbol feels like a useless blood test to the boy, and as Minato cries out in despair over such unfairness, all he ever really wanted was to be like his ancestors. From the window, someone yells at him to hurry up because everyone is waiting at the school gate, but he isn't excited since he thinks he's the one everyone should be cheering for. The girls can't stop staring at the new prodigy, who is so handsome that even the boys can't help but be impressed. Everyone is buzzing about the A-rank hunter Kazaki, but the young man just smiles and apologizes for all the trouble he's caused. Minato's friends are getting fed up because he's taking forever and making the star of the show wait. Kazei says it's not cool to bully the weak, so the boys start grumbling about it. The hunter glares with a scary look and warns that if they missed it, a whole group of reporters is standing right behind him. One of the guys is blown away by the school K went to and admits he hopes K doesn't mind being followed around for the day. After that, the man asks if the photo of him killing a dragon would make a good cover for the magazine. The hunter nods and says the plan sounds good, even if it doesn't look very nice. Right behind Minato watches him, knowing that while they started together, the other boy quickly became a genius who toped every subject. But that's not the only surprise, K is also the bully who used to mess with him. Minato shivered the entire time they were in class, wondering why he had to stand there and get filmed while everyone else looked so much better, making him feel completely humiliated. When a reporter asks who stands beside him, Hunter calls him an old friend despite not knowing his name, while someone else whispers nearby, and the proud star claims the boy used to cause trouble and would always come to him for advice. He even claims he helped him with money, but Minato doesn't appreciate that bit at all. In the end, K always snatched his money and never gave him even a single cent back. This year has been the worst one he has ever had. The reporters cheered the hunter on, calling him perfect in every way. He smiles and promises he'll never let anyone down, claiming that one day his name will be remembered as the mark of a true legend. Then the man says that Mato is lucky to have Kaizai watching over him, and someone else quickly adds that the boy should be thankful for everything he has. The weight of all that pressure leaves the boy trembling with nervousness. Before he could speak, the liar reminded him that he'd failed the exam. Grinning like a threat, he claims it's a bad day for him and suggests that ending it with an even lower score would make things even worse. But all the boy could think about was how much he had been humiliated that year. Minato shakes like a leaf while the bully makes him feel scared. Even though the camera flashes blind him, he insists that Kes has always been by his side, and he thinks back to those moments with pure gratitude for the rest of his life. The hunter quickly sets him free and says they must hurry because time is running out. Cass offers to let them plant his trophies, and the whole crew is thrilled. They barely remember the name of Minato and say it doesn't matter for the story, because honestly, nobody really cares. To a loser, it doesn't matter how rotten a person is on the inside. Once they step into the hunter's role, everyone takes notice and their names are remembered. With tears streaming down his face, the boy wonders what his name will ever mean one day, but suddenly, a voice calls out, making him jump. The bully orders Manhwa to meet at the shrine after school, and he panics, not knowing what they want with him. K forces on a fake smile and asks if he really doesn't want to retake the test. He tells how he spoke highly of the boy to the Hunter Association. Minato, taken aback, asks why, and the other replies it's just to seem like the nice guy. After all, the reporters are heading out for one final shoot there, and he says they'll talk more about it later. K always feels scared, so he knows he has to show up. Yet, Minato still isn't sure if he can truly trust him. Though he hates the thought of being used to make the hunter look good, this could finally be his way out. Thinking hard helps the boy feel calm again, so he decides he will pass this time. The next generation superstar hero promises to shield people from monsters, and he looks perfect. As the filming wrapped up, the reporters thanked Kais for letting them shoot all day even though he was so busy. The hunter stays hidden until all the others have gone. Then he steps into the shrine to see what waits for him. He turns to his henchmen and asks if they found the entrance. The boys smile, showing they did what he asked, and the superstar nods and tells them to go in and grab the stuff. Suddenly, a voice from behind asks what he's doing, and he doesn't even try to hide his answer as he openly admits he's on a treasure hunt. Minotaur objects stay with the robbery and asks if he knows who is buried there, but the A-rank hunter asks who even cares about that. He hits the floor so hard it sends rocks flying everywhere. The superstar just calls us a bunch of old, moldy mummies. He argues that selling the items is a way to make money instead of letting them rot. He can't stop himself from thinking Minato is foolish for believing in the old stories, yet those heroes were perfect and once he wished to be just like them. The boy remembers the day he promised to stay just like them. Thinking about it suddenly makes my blood boil with anger. Then he lunges to punch the guy, but K, who's a master at everything, slips the blow with ease, counters with a strike straight to Minato's gut, and knocks all his strength right back up. The superstar asks the boy if he forgot who he was talking to, leaving Minato shaken and wondering if the blow he just took had nearly killed him. His lackeys shout that they found the treasures, and the backpack is stuffed full of them. Even though Minato was hurt and lying on the ground, he couldn't stop worrying about it. Feeling a strange energy, the superstar wonders if it's coming from the items and immediately starts dreaming of living like royalty forever. He yanks the boy by his shirt and reveals that he only needed a fool gullible enough to believe the fake news about a new test. After hearing the gossip about the boy, he laughed at first, then suddenly realized he had finally found exactly what he was looking for. K already knows the tale of a failed loser who, heartbroken by his unfulfilled dreams, stole the treasure of his heroes and vanished. The hunter even says this is big enough to hit the front page of the news. The story turns to a third-year student blamed for stealing from the ancestors' holy place, and while police already have a suspect, the officer who just lets go of the boy asks one last time what his name is. Minato trembles with fear, knowing these are likely his final moments, yet the superstar simply says his name doesn't matter at all. Then the boy tumbles off the cliff, plunging into the water and fearing his life is ending with no one to remember him, until suddenly, glowing orbs of light appear all around him. Then, they change into odd creatures. The strangers argue over if the boy is the special person they've been hoping for. They finally introduce themselves as the spirits resting in the progenitor's sanctuary, and the boy's eyes go wide with shock. He stands puzzled by the sudden lights and noise, wondering if these strangers are truly the heroes he's been told about. One spirit whispers that the mark he carries belongs to the empty void, and while it has no power of its own, it can hold any kind of power inside it. He asks Manhwa to pick a legendary master, whether a mage, warrior, or master of any craft, to form a bond with, promising that whoever she chooses will grant him powers far beyond his wildest dreams. Once more, the spirit asks what power he craves, and Minato answers with perfect certainty. Fed up with bullies like Kazei, he refuses to stay in a world where anyone can push him around. The boy longs for strength so great it could wipe away every single moment of shame he ever had to endure. The mage shouts for him to pick a partner fast, but the boy who lost up and grabs the power of them all. His parents love his big dreams, but they worry the ship might break because it can't hold so many people. For the first time, Minato asks everyone to be silent, feeling that this might be his last chance to lead. He refuses to listen to any excuses and demands that they all be taken inside him. Suddenly, every spirit is sucked into the mark on his hand. The elders are shocked and divided, with some calling the boy insolent for what he's doing. Suddenly, the glowing circle under the boy's feet starts to pulse with light. K is the first to realize something isn't right. Where the water glows, it starts to rise. Just as the rain starts, one of the bad guys flips open an umbrella to keep the surprised superstar from getting soaked. All the onlookers stand in awe as Minato floats high in the air, surrounded by a glowing aura. The boy lands right before them, but the scared look of the bullied kid is gone forever. The guy with the spikes looks shocked and claims that Minato is tougher to kill than a cockroach. The boy looks down at the object in his hand, studying it closely. Suddenly, the bullies spot it. They burst out laughing, wondering if he really thinks he can hurt them with that stick. Ku yells for them to stop now that he has seen enough. He commands that the boy's head be taken, ensuring he never returns. Following the command, the guy with the spiky hair pulls a sword out of thin air. Pushing off, he tells Minato to feel honored that he always tops sword exams, while the ex-losers calmly asks if he truly believes the sword belongs to a master. But since he doesn't listen, the bully rushes straight at him. Minato just blocks with his stick, and amazingly, the swordsman ends up getting sliced along with his own blade. Minato wonders how anyone could tell that was the blade of a true swordsman, while the bully stood silent and the others stared in terrified silence. Once again, the boy asks the very same question. After all, he wants to know what made him believe his sword was truly special. But the big guy doesn't give him a chance, instead using his green magic, the gaze of destruction and the legendary second classroom of 7th grade. Bathed in a yellow glow, Minato flicks his finger, complains about being too slow, and unleashes the spell Hadad. The bully is stunned because he never thought anyone could say that. A huge blast lights up the sky as the big man crashes to the ground, covered in burns. Kagotsu was shocked to see his enemy stab a normal person with a stick and cast spells without saying a word. It feels like the legendary Blade Master who once commanded an army of 10,000 monsters to fall. Or maybe it was the wizard who cracked the code of magic and began waving his hands to make things happen without ever saying a word. The spirits were so big and magical that they felt like fairy tale characters, and now they live inside Minato Kani. Altogether, there are 106 of them. Minato recalls the moment the superstar promised his name would be remembered forever as one of the greatest. Now he decides to leave that name out of the legendary stories, so the tales will forever speak only of the others. A blue glow surrounds the boy, making him look even more powerful. Only Minato can truly sense the spirits of his ancestors within him and feel the mark of the void. He feels their hearts overflowing with deep emotion. The hero's words still ring in his head, with one wondering how so many runes could fit and another saying he hasn't felt this free in 100 years. Minato read the ancient stories so many times he knew them by heart, yet it feels strange to think those legendary heroes now live inside him. He closes his eyes, letting his mind see them all at once with a big smile. As their faces changed, they had to choose who would take over the boy's body. Then the swordsman shouts out to him. Raikiro Hananoi, the long-haired man who once crushed 10,000 monsters with one swing, smiles warmly and says that legends never truly die, then asks the boy what he plans to do. Minato guesses the last bully is behind it, but the hero shakes his head and says no. The swordsman points out the real problem and asks what he should do about it. Then the chosen one wakes up and finally gets it. Still feeling shaky as he walked, Kasa couldn't help but call him a loser. The superstar slashes his sword and demands to know how he dares challenge an A-rank hunter, vowing to teach him a painful lesson. But he never gets a chance to finish, as a hard punch connects right to his face. The hit was so hard that it sent the bully flying across the room. Minato doesn't care much about feelings, he just wants that guy out of his way. Something dark and shadowy leaks out of the backpack. The light gets so bright it feels like the sun is burning right through the room. As Minato still stands in awe, Raikiro beams with pride. The whole city is falling apart in a big, loud mess. A huge three-headed black dog runs wild. The monster crashes through anything it touches. It roared loudly and came to a halt right in front of the man. The heads hiss and puff with anger, yet the man jumps out of the way and hits them hard with his full force. The crowd gasps in shock as Kirasag, an elite S-rank hunter, wipes out a terrifying A-rank monster with one powerful strike. The man gives thanks and asks where KZ is. But then he realizes the superstar mentioned an interview, which would look great for the guild's reputation. As he passes the report, he spots something odd and starts wondering if a monster is hiding in it. Where is this sudden trouble coming from? Noticing something was wrong, he spun around and let out a cry of alarm. The boys collapse to the ground as a companion shouts, "What's happening?" since the pressure is so heavy that even elite A and B class fighters can't stay standing, making him realize they are up against a dangerous S-rank monster and will need a huge attack to win. The storm is swelling up and sweeping everything in its way. The power flows from the ancient guardian's home, while K rests on the ground. Something standing right in front of him scares him to his bones. A scary black monster with lots of eyes and tentacles crawls out of the backpack, and the superstar screams in fear while Minato admits it was his mistake for ruining the holy place. One of the tower's boss monsters, which had been sealed, was hiding inside the things he and his lackey had stolen. Rikiro says that a few monsters cheated death by putting themselves into a deep sleep. The dark shadow standing before them is called the Plague of Futility. It wakes up with dozens of eyes popping open, and experts say its strength is likely S-class or even higher. That beast breathes out a deadly fog that kills everyone within miles, and once upon a time, it was as everywhere as flies. Kei decides to leave, but the swordsman Minato warns that moving will just make the monster focus its attack on him. No matter what it sees, the monster shoots out a tentacle that sends the superstar screaming in horror. His sword is broken in pieces, which feels impossible since he once used that same blade to kill a dragon. The boy's life force is sucked away by the monster's tentacle. Minato, looking indifferent, says he tried to warn him. Rikiro shouts out and asks the boy if he's okay with him taking full control of his body. The swordsman leans in, whispering that he knows the power of the Hinoi's sword from watching it fight, while his friends take their time to get comfortable. Binadu agrees to lend his body without any trouble, and the long-haired man feels a wave of relief at how simple it is. But the others won't let him hide away the fresh, young vessel all by himself. But the real shock hits when the boy offers to let his body be used by everyone. He vows to beat them all by any means necessary, demanding they show him their full power so he can face it himself. Rairo is done letting this kid jump in just to make things easier for himself. The swordsman admits they might have taken on a fight that is too big for them. He pushes his own skills through Minato like a puppeteer controlling a doll, and they stand ready to win the fight. With quick slashes of his spear, the hero cuts off one of the monster's tentacles. Bad luck for the boy, because his stick got broken too. No need to fret, because another master steps in with martial arts to strike the monster. Another tentacle is ripped from the terrible, many-eyed monster. Without wasting a second, the boy snatches the branch from the ground while one hero steps in to guide his body, and then another spirit takes over. With every blow landing, the creature is absolutely wrecked, and not one single ancestor is left standing. As the creature is left out of reach, Minato snatches up the backpack, but the archer steps in to finish the job, firing an arrow that blasts the monster with a brilliant shower of light that slices right through his flesh. The green liquid splashes all over the boy. Minato wiped the sweat from his face and charged forward, mixing together all the moves he had learned from his masters. Raichiro grabs the shattered pieces of Kaisa's broken sword. The monster lunges with its tentacles, but they suddenly freeze in midair before they can reach Minato. This time, the mage takes over the boy's body, making him leap before he can even speak. The newest transcendent joins forces with Bikira, wielding their sword in the Hinoi style to summon a sea storm for the attack. The sword flashes with lightning so bright and strong that it slices the monster right in half. Manhwa beams with a big grin at the result. Nightfall comes when the full moon pushes back the darkness. Only a lone crow stood there as the only one who saw what happened. He picks up the phone and learns the monster has been defeated before he can even get there. He didn't realize powerful hunters were nearby until the crow managed to film the spot, leaving him shocked. After finding out what happened, he asks if it really was a student from the hunter training school, and his smile grows as he hopes to finally meet the boy himself. This is Midori Ikihara, the world's strongest transcendent, who is on the phone with the director again after a long time apart. Midori reveals that the S-rank monster was taken down by the student Minato Kennedy, a shocking twist since the boy has already failed his exams 3 times. Can't believe his eyes, so he asks the man if he could do him a favor. At school, the kids are still talking about the monster attack that happened yesterday. One kid talks about the spooky aura that froze him in place while bragging about it. Someone wonders what folks would say if they found out he killed the monster, but nobody believes him. People are whispering that the true hero is actually a student from that school. It sounds like a crazy dream come true to see a student wiping out a legendary S-rank beast. Meanwhile, Manhwa rests on a branch that is shaking violently. He notices that people are still talking about what happened the day before. Suddenly, a man shoved him and told him to move out of the way. The tough guy can't believe a scrawny guy like the one he just bumped into could have beaten that monster. Minato felt amazing fighting the beast the day before, but borrowing the Ancient One's strength made his body hurt terribly the next day. Laughing, a voice mentions that he got tired way too easily. It's the Swordmaster Rikiro. Without a word, he tells the boy to rise and asks if that wasn't the very boy who claimed to have surpassed the progenitors. That piqued Minato's curiosity. Remembering the words spoken in the fight suddenly gives him a fresh spark of courage. The swordsman urges him to keep going, but the crowd is confused and wondering what's wrong. Rikiro suddenly feels like the man he is has changed. Modern transcendence feels so weak. He is no smarter than anyone else on the street, yet he believes that if the tower appeared right now, the entire world would disappear. Suddenly, he feels a shift in the air and realizes someone has arrived with a presence so huge it swallows everyone else whole. Manav spots the stranger's odd look and asks if something is wrong, but the man shakes his head and says nothing is the matter. The man burst out of the room, screaming for the boy to come in right now, which made the spirit vessel think he was about to get kicked out of school. He knows that everyone gets 3 tries at the exam, and the final one is a regular test that lets any ordinary person become a hunter. But the man surprises him by telling him to head to the field, proving he's being tested once more. Even the students who heard this whispered that they weren't sure if it was actually allowed. Minato isn't at his peak, but he plans to give his all in the 100-yard dash, where times usually hover around 3.6 seconds but the fastest ever recorded was a blazing 2.7. The big guy from earlier talks about how the boy is seen as a loser who failed the test, saying his second chance is probably just pity. With a loud boom, the shot rings out and Minato sprints forward, giving everything he has left in his body. He shuts up the crowd by smashing the record with a time of 1.2 seconds. Next, the boy dashes the 1.8-mile course in just 1 minute and 17 seconds, beating the 4-minute average by a huge margin. He blows everyone away by doing 840 push-ups in just 2 minutes. During the strength test, he crushed a weight on his bench. His records left everyone in stunned silence as he shattered every previous one, scoring twice as much. This makes them wonder if the boy is truly human or just a beast, while Minato fears that everything he just did was only because the progenitors lent him their powers again. But Rikiro couldn't understand why anyone would bother helping with such a ridiculous thing when they were just there to watch. Down in the principal's office, the teachers are counting up the boys' test scores. Midori looks over all the papers and gasps when she finds out just how strange the records really are. The principal asks why she requested a retest, admitting that his amazing athletic skills are truly remarkable. However, the real trouble is that his mana level keeps coming back as completely empty in every single test. That is why the man doesn't hold out much hope for him. Knowing this, the girl warns Midori that the Transcendent is likely wrong about Minato, but he doesn't take the warning seriously. The strongest man says, "Wait and see what happens. You've got 30 seconds to spin the fan as many times as you can, and your final score is just how many full turns you manage to get." Minato remembers that for 3 long years, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do anything because he didn't even know how to feel it. Now he realizes that it all comes down to how things flow and move through him. The energy rises from the tip of your right foot, winds its way through your whole body, and flows back to its start with your breath guiding the journey. Then he throws it straight out from his hand. The teenager watching the test gives the signal to start. A blue energy begins to pulse through Minato's body and drifts toward the fan. It starts spinning faster and faster, leaving everyone amazed at just how many times it can turn around. The spinning gets so strong that the numbers just keep climbing, never stopping. The fan whirs so wildly fast that we can't even count its spinning blades. Everything blows up and the machine bursts into flames. The sudden burst of fire makes the students jump in surprise. You can even spot it from the principal's office. Something is coming their way. The fan's blade got stuck wedged deep into the ceiling. The old man almost lost all his hair. While his assistant is startled, Midori explains that the boy must be a special case just like him. He claims that Minato stands as the second student in history to possess an immeasurable mana level, with him being the first. Everyone around him is shocked, and even the boy is stunned by what just happened, but the man congratulates him on passing the hunter test. And he even smashed every single new record. Minato stares at his hand in shock, unable to believe what he is seeing. He was so overwhelmed by the feeling that he couldn't believe all that power was actually inside him. But it turned out just like Rikiro had guessed. The moment he let his body be used by the ancestors, his hidden powers woke up, proving Minato is far more than just an ordinary person with the mark of the void. For years, they waited for someone just like him. This boy holds the secret to making their dreams come true. Out of the blue, something grabs the ship's attention. A blinding flash of light suddenly appears, and the frightened man asks the hero if it's an explosion, which would explain the powerful wave the swordsman felt that morning. Midori pops up with a grin on her face. The boy is stunned when he sees who it is and can't believe that the world's strongest transcendent is right there. The blonde man told us he watched Manga ace the test and offered his congratulations on passing. He says it's time for the bonus exam where you must try to land a hit on the world's strongest transcendent. Minato's jaw literally dropped to the floor in shock at how Midori, who only turned 23 and became a hunter just 9 days ago, had already been acting like a transcendent the whole time. He can crush 1,000 monsters in a single hit, scare away weak hunters just by showing his aura, and he almost fixed all the chaos 10 years ago and the Kyushu crisis 5 years ago all by himself. A voice calls to him, making the boy even more scared. Raikira grins wickedly and demands he lend her his body. Midori tells the boy that he only has 1 minute to land a single hit on him. He says there's no harm if he misses, but every 10 seconds he'll strike. The toughest transcendent says don't worry, claiming he'll hold back and won't use any skills, while letting Minato use whatever he wants and even bringing a few weapons for him to pick from. The former loser stares in stunned disbelief, scratching his head to figure out when the other guy pulled off all this. He's totally lost over this surprise exam and can't believe he's about to wrestle a famous guy for a full minute. The boy questions if wielding a weapon is truly safe, and Midori reassures him that his body is tough as steel. The strongest transcendent shows off his power by saying he can snap any blade that dares to fight him, while the hero begs to lend a hand. Rikiro is so pumped he's jumping around, finally seeing that not everyone is weak, which makes Minato realize his opponent is so strong that even a progenitor is ready to fight. Honestly, he knows he can't beat Midori. The boy feels like his brain is about to melt from thinking so hard. If that's the only way, we have no choice but to do it. While students press their faces against the window in excitement for the duel about to start, the swordsman yells at the boy to take control of his body. Either way, Midori holds up his phone to show the timer ticking as the battle begins. The weapon Manhua picks to wield as a sword. He dashes in, all ready to hit. Rikiro is so scared that the kid is taking this on all by himself that he thinks it's totally unfair. The boy knows it's crazy, but he dreams of becoming a legend, so he has to feel the power of a real fight. Even though he tries his hardest, he still can't even get a touch on the opponent. Midori weaves through every blow, pausing only to ask the boy which social media he uses since their fight is about to go viral online. The others are stunned that the blonde is defending them all while barely looking up from his phone. Meanwhile, Minato throws every ounce of strength he has into landing a blow. For the strongest transcendent, the battle feels like a game for kids. Even though Midori is holding his own and the blade in the leader's chest is glowing with power, one student is amazed by him because everyone else would be worn out from taking so many hits. The boy keeps running with zero sign of stopping. He keeps looking for a way in, hitting with a diagonal slash, a horizontal split, or a kick to the shin. An audacious strike aimed at his throat failed, but Minato is stunned that his body obeys him perfectly without any fatigue. He isn't sure why lending his body to the ancestors changed him, but he feels something is different. A touch to his forehead snaps him back from his thoughts. After the 10 seconds ticked away, a mighty burst of power erupted. Luckily, Minato managed to slip right out of the way. The boy is so scared of his own power that he can't stop shaking. When he looks back, he can see all the damage that remains. Minato is shocked that Midori thinks that's holding back, since if he had moved faster, he would have lost his head. Midori, who has never lost control of his power before, feels something is wrong. He feels no danger from his opponent at all. Meanwhile, the hero's ship finally sees the danger and knows that if he doesn't get better, he'll be wiped out. He wants to remember how strong he used to be. Now the boy is set on his goal even harder than before. Midori notices the change, feeling stronger and braver, while Minato stands ready to charge forward again. The crowd watches in awe as the entire battle speeds up even more. Even the fastest camera can't catch up to them. This time, Midoriya sees that his opponent's sword skills have improved, yet he recalls how much faster the boy was when he killed that grade 6 monster, leaving him to wonder if Mineta has a secret power he can only use under certain conditions or if he was pretending the whole time. He glances at his phone to see how much time is left. He can't believe the fight is still going with 41 seconds left, so the blonde fighter promises to go in as soft as she can. He does it again, tapping Minato square on the chest and driving his full force into the boy, sending him flying so hard he crashes straight through the wall. The boy even spits out his own life force. He can't believe what's happening, he's finally battling the world's strongest transcendent after taking a direct hit from them. His old self would have been knocked out by that blow, so what we're seeing right now is totally unbelievable. But he knows he still isn't ready to pass Midori's test. So, he will keep doing his best until the test is over, walking right past Midori without even getting a reaction from her. This makes him pause, confused by the blonde's strange actions. Midori apologizes and decides he's seen enough, even though 30 seconds are still left on the clock. With one quick strike, he hits Minato right on the back of the neck, and that's it for him. Midori knows the boy has talent, but not enough power to match hers, since he couldn't even show her the strength he used against that S-rank monster. Ren the blonde says we can head back because his opponent wasn't worth the excitement. Hearing that, Minato tightens his grip on his sword. He hated the way Midori spoke about him. Now that he stands, that same energy lights him up. Seeing the boy faint from stubbornness, Rikiro finally takes control of his body. The swordsman shouts out to the strongest master of transcendence in the world. Midori definitely notices this change. With everything under control, the long-haired man asks if he's ready for some real fun. Now it's Minato's turn to watch while someone else takes control of his body to act. Finally, the strongest transcendent had waited for this moment to arrive. Just a moment ago, that same spark was the very thing that made him lose control of his power. Midori doubts if his opponent is changing shape or using a special power, but it doesn't matter because this opponent has become an unstoppable monster. Rikira shouts at him to stay focused during their conversation. The blonde sees that the moves have suddenly changed in speed, strength, and how the sword is swung. A deadly blade hangs mere millimeters from his eye, but he leaps aside just in time to escape the blow. Midori suddenly begins to move with a new sense of purpose, her actions becoming sharper and more urgent than they ever were before. Minato stops holding back, his eyes turning cold with anger as he throws his whole body at his opponent in a desperate rush. The power rolling off the battlefield is so intense it cracks the windows and pushes the entire crowd away. The blonde sees the sword strike stop being shy and start hitting with the bold confidence of a fighter who truly knows his enemy. It happens as naturally as water flowing in a stream, or even better, like a mighty wave crashing forward and sweeping everything out of the way. Anyway, he's finally figuring out how the kid managed to take down the S-rank monster. Midori glances at the timer, sees only 40 seconds left, and knows it's time to strike. Still in charge, Rikiro scoffs at the idea of dodging such an obvious attack while the strongest transcendent hovers high above, laughing at how incredible it all looks. Meanwhile, the others are stunned to see Minato force his opponent into a desperate defense. Feeling bored, Rikiro yells at everyone to toss the rules aside and tells his rival to bring his full power, warning that if the blonde tries to hold back, he'll make him regret it. The father lunges forward with his sword, striking with all his might. Midori keeps her eyes locked on the path ahead, prepared for whatever happens next. Something unknown is tossed and lands by the weapon pile, making every single item float up into the air. The swordsman lifts his head and finally understands what is going on. Right in the heart of the weapon storm stands Midori. As the blonde plunged his weapon forward with everything he had, the madman Reiro got exactly what he wanted. The two crash together in a dizzying blur that leaves the crowd speechless and amazed. The fight soars through the sky, marking the most spectacular battle the two have ever faced. Reiro is wide awake, and another progenitor is amazed that the boy keeps up with him while everyone else secretly wishes they could be in the long-haired boy's place. Minaba's body can't take the full force of the swordsman's strike. Seeing this, the old man thinks about helping, but they tell him to stay still or he'll just get in the way. While the mage is the only one truly worried about the real Monadu watching the battle. Rikiro swings his arms in sharp diagonal cuts and powerful upward punches. He flicks his wrist. The man shows him to swing up, throw an uppercut, and then lean his weight forward. All of this causes the blade to snap apart into many pieces. The swordsman carefully protects his blade, and watching this, Midori feels a rush of excitement. He shouts that only 10 seconds remain and asks the boy what he plans to do next. Suddenly, Reiki leaps out of the arena. The crowd stands puzzled, not knowing what he's about to do. He grabs a sword from the bully who just shoved Minato. Before he can get back, the fight starts all over again. Midori lunges straight at him. The strike tears holes straight into the school's walls. But since Rikiro is still piloting the body, they walk away without a scratch. The two jump back into the air and fight again. As they fight and have a blast, the other students get scared that the building might fall down right now. Midori notices the broken fan blade flying loose. He lunges forward and yanks the propeller free from the wreckage. His power is so strong that it cracks the object. As the swordsman keeps his eyes sharp on every move, the world's greatest master hangs in the air, gripping the blade and locking on to strike. The very best things are still waiting to happen. It's the legendary Kanoi sword style. A flash of lightning cracks the fan blade into so many tiny pieces that it looks like a cloud of dust. Midori bursts out laughing at the sheer amazingness of it all. Even the sword Riichiro borrowed breaks apart just like the others. Now it's the blonde's moment to shine. With only 60 seconds left, he charges up and launches a direct strike right at Minato. Even the spirits can feel the weight of his huge power. Minato lunges forward and clings tight to the swordmaster. This helps him build up speed and take back control of his body. The moment he gets back in control, the first thing he notices is Midori, ready to strike. Their hands crash together the instant they collide, taking the full brunt of the hit. Midori and Riichiro both freeze in shock at what they see. The boy's hand is badly hurt. Even so, he's already getting ready for his next move, still curious if his rival can stop it. Then he finally lands a hit on the world's strongest transcendent. It is a rare sight to watch two supreme masters face off in a duel. With blows flying back and forth in an endless dance, the two fighters keep searching for the winning move in a battle so sharp it looks like two grandmasters playing chess, leaving everyone else frozen in awe. That is how it goes with Riichiro. In just a split second, the boy pulled off a move that no one, not even that guy, had ever imagined. He found a way to break through the enemy's defense and strike back, even after getting hit himself. All he wanted was just one clean hit to get through. But not everything went according to plan, and his hands froze mere inches away from his opponent's face. But he simply wasn't strong enough to land the hit. Midori has a plan, and the world's strongest man made the former loser touch his face. He smiles as he tells Minato that he has succeeded. The building is a complete mess. The crowd can't stop guessing who will truly come out on top. Midori shouts to his helper. Ren asks where they are going, and the blonde replies that the boy has passed, offering to heal his arm if they will allow it. The students were stunned to learn that Minato had actually passed the test. Seeing that they had truly knocked Midori out, everyone cheered in delight. Meanwhile, the assistant tells him to stay still while she mends his arm. Ren beams with a warm smile, cheering him on for making it through. Feeling more at ease, he thanks her for her kindness and the healing, but then he suddenly sits up in alarm when he finally realizes what she really said. Midori himself questions if you've forgotten, and he's clearly offended by the thought. He admitted he might have added a few extra points, but either way, the boy passed. While the blonde cheers for the combos during the fight, Minato knows it was all Riichiro. But what truly shocked Midori was seeing the boy slip right past his last strike. It took real skill to hit him like that, and he says the boy should be proud of himself. The host of the ancestors was so moved by his words that he thanked him. Minato has a question he needs answered, so he asks if there's a reward for passing the test. Even Ren stands there, quietly waiting for the blonde person to reply. Midori looks stunned when she realizes her own plan has backfired. Minato stands still, waiting for an answer. They gaze at the ruined room just as the night drops down around them. While dinner is being made in the kitchen, Minato's mom asks how many people will be joining them. Feeling a bit nervous, he admits he isn't sure, but promises that at least one person will be there. No matter what, the lady thinks it's a perfect day because he passed the exam and got noticed by a famous person. She is so happy with her things that she gets right to preparing the food. She told him that all along, she knew he could achieve amazing things if he just gave it his all. Nervous about hosting a famous guest, she jokes her home is as messy as a doghouse, but the boy insists Midori wouldn't think that way. Finally, once the cleaning is done, the boy throws himself onto the bed to get some rest. Holding the card, he thinks back to the day Ren took Midori down for not warning her first. To calm things down, the blonde asks Mato to confirm that he previously said they'd work together if he passed, but he says it didn't happen. Even hurting, the famous man says there are too many curious eyes around for him to perform that scene. He wants to know if it's alright to come to his place at night so they can work out the details properly. He will talk about who the real enemy really is. That final piece is exactly what Minato is most worried about. After all, the original builders blew up that tower ages ago, so the hunters are just hunting down the monsters that leaked out from a tear in the world. He thought they had done enough, but now he wonders if they can do more. A voice keeps shouting Minato's name until he finally jumps with a startled gasp. It was Rikira who gave him the call. The body borrower worries that something is wrong when he sees everyone else is there too, so he asks. The swordsman declared the talk was over, and Minato, jumping at the news, asked if they were finally picking who would clean up his body. The talk was exactly about that, and the nervous boy stood up to say he thinks Midori has already arrived. When he reaches the bottom of the stairs, everything is dark and quiet. Suddenly, something grabs the boy's attention. He screams out to his mom who is lying on the floor. Once more, the boy shouts her name, and Minato sprints toward her, feeling like someone is hiding inside the house. He catches a glimpse of it out of the corner of his eye. The person is playfully tossing bits of food into their mouth. The figure grumbles that the food is trash because it tastes awful. He tells Minato he's off to teach his mother a lesson so she can learn to serve better meat to their guests. The boy asks what happened to his mother, but the intruder tells him to be careful with his words. He introduces himself as Goroani, an S-rank hunter who claims to work with Midori, and steps in to take him on. He grabs the boy and urges him to rush, telling him to pack his things so they can head to headquarters right away. But at that exact moment, Minata can only think about striking him down. He gets hit hard by the man. Goro lets out a wicked laugh, his grin twisting into something truly evil. He pauses and asks the boy if he truly wants to fight. Minato stares at the kitchen's mess and immediately worries about his mom. He remembers the day his father passed away and her promise to raise their son, as well as the time he suggested she buy new shoes only for her to say she was fine because she had already bought a fresh pair. His mom wished him a great day and promised to make his favorite meal, tonatsu, for dinner. Minato asked the man what he had done to her all over again. While the others watch Riichiro, he thinks he's mimicking that idiot Midori, but it's actually perfect. This fight is their last shot to decide what happens to him, and Minato is not going to let this slip away. With that same smile, Goro tells the boy just how adorable he is. He lifts his hand to strike, but the boy stands his ground, halting the blow in midair before dropping the man with a single swift move. The old man sits there, eyes fixed on the fight. Even though he is old, he still has some tricks up his sleeve. The air grows dead silent until Goro is flung out the door. Minato dashes out after him. The man jumps at the move, wondering if it was some trick by Heikyo. After watching the video of the fight against Midori, he realized the boy had nothing but a scary aura and sharp sword skills. He has to admit that the kid is tougher than even an A-rank hunter like Kais. Minata, unable to wait, presses for an answer. The boy is desperate to know what he did to his mother, while the woman looks shaken by a strange influence, and Goro just notes that the boy's own words prove he already knows the truth. He slipped the poison into her drink because she was getting in his way, and she drifted off into a deep sleep. He adds that if the brat is lucky, the woman might just wake up with some minor aches, but Minato admits he didn't make a single thing he heard. Shock hit the lanky man, and he asked what he meant. The boy wonders why he would hurt the family of someone who should be his friend. Goro bursts into laughter at the joke, calling the man an idiot, while the man swings a punch that the boy barely dodges in time. The man insists he isn't anyone's partner, claiming he's just a polite, obedient puppet who follows orders, and saying the only way to make a weakling listen is to take someone important as a hostage. Minato dodges every blow until mid-fight, when a foot suddenly steps hard on his own. That lets Goro land another hit. Then he steps back to create some space, and the boy begins to wonder what is really going on while his face starts to feel hot. A purple bruise begins to spread across his cheek. As he stares at the lanky man, he sees sharp blades and a strange liquid seeping from his fingers, knowing it's now his turn to taste the poison. He can create millions of different types of things inside his own body. If he really wanted to, he could fill a 5-kilometer area with poison gas, but he isn't allowed to do that in crowded cities. The poison will kill Minato in 1 minute, and the only way to get the antidote is if he agrees to join the guild. But all the boy can think about is the gas, and now he sees why people call creatures like this environmental disasters walking around in human skin. As the minutes tick by and the liquid spreads further, he asks if the Great Warrantine is inside him now. The boy apologizes to the woman for the trouble and asks if she could quickly give him an antidote, while Goro questions him about who he's speaking to and if the fear of death is causing him to hallucinate. Minato wonders if he still remembers the Hapkido move he just used. He said that was a gift from Hayao Mikoto, the Hand of God. The old man saw right away that the boy had caught on instantly and copied his move just from watching him once. Then there's the terrifying curse brought by the hordes from Raikiro Hananoi, plus the deadly blue spear from Kushima. Mulgif was a hero who held many tree branches in his hands. He had read his ancestors' tales so often he knew them by heart, dreaming to be like them until he finally realized they were truly alive inside him. This leaves Goro stunned and trying to figure it all out. Minato put it this way, there is absolutely no need to fear him. It really ticked that lanky guy off. He says fear won't stop him and he'll use pain, telling the boy that the next poison will make him beg for his suffering to end. His liquid spills into the air and turns the living leaves of a nearby tree to death. Gore says that if he gives up, he'll get the serum, but the terrible pain will break his mind before it can be fixed. Minato is trapped with no way to fight back, yet he doesn't look like he's even scared of getting hurt. A bright light wraps around him as he delivers the legendary Takuan fist straight to the man's chest, knocking him backward and forcing him to cough up blood. The hero watches the fight with impressed eyes while Goro gets sent flying, only for Minato to come back and unleash the Shining Foot, a powerful trick from their ancestor Irsen who is watching in amazement. The man was kicked so hard his feet tore up the asphalt beneath him. Minato pushes forward, closing the gap between them. In a final desperate move, Gore tries to poison him, but the boy shatters his blades, lands the Carol Beak strike, followed by Rowan's dragon claw, which impresses the strange pink progenitor enough to grab him, while the boy activates the uprooter. This time, she uses a special move from Lilac. That move whips the man off his feet and spins him through the air like a top. Goro is totally in the dark about what just went down. He knows that his poison leaves victims frozen in fear and unable to move, yet he still can't figure out how anyone ever broke free from it. Now the Mage of Truth takes her turn. Minato's finger crackles with golden lightning, summoning a mighty blast of Mstaya Sensuous that grows larger by the second before crashing into his target. The ancestors watch in awe, and then Riker asks if they really saw what just happened. On the day they defeated Technomra after using their powers just once, he managed to copy everything from their physics to their magic, and even now, he isn't sure if the Mark of the Void is the reason. In that case, the swordsman finds the whole thing thrilling. He says they must do everything they can to help the boy, after all, they are the ones who brought him into the world. If they team up and teach him everything, Minad could grow up to be the most powerful being the world has ever seen. The boys sprinted from building to building. Knowing that 15 other guilds are racing to recruit the boy who defeated Midori Ikara, they are desperate not to be late, until a blonde stranger appears and shocks them by revealing exactly how many are hunting for Minato. With a grin, the most powerful being asks if it's truly the 15th. So he announces that they are the final ones. The man is surprised when Manori shoots her blast at him. The blow knocks the opponent straight down to the floor. He talks to Ren on the phone. She's arrived at the scene with no strange magic around, but something has caught her eye. The assistant says someone's already beaten them there because the S-rank hunter Goro Hitani, who can use poison, is lying right outside Minato's house. The man lies on the ground with a face that tells you he's not doing well. Midori can't help but laugh at what he hears. He says it's amazing that the boy has something special inside, even though he still can't believe the kid actually beat an S-rank. The blonde girl asks if he was hurt or poisoned, but the boy says he is fine. His mom is resting on the couch. Minato says she is okay too. Hearing all of that, Rikiro admits that without Warren, he and his mother would already be lost in the dark underworld. The woman is shocked that she managed to pull the poison out of Goro's serum in just 5 seconds. Midori apologizes for the delay and explains that since everyone saw that fight video, many guilds are now chasing him. Minato wonders if Goro was lying about them being partners, and the blonde replies that many people use that trick to control others. The most powerful being asks his helper if she's finished, and she nods to say yes. Ren fixed the walls and the fence, then said, "Now you can come inside and talk." Midora tells them they must talk about what happens next for Minato. A fresh morning starts, and his mom checks if he's packed while still worrying about his future. The night before, Midori told his plan to grab Manano, and the blonde man grinned as he promised to turn the boy into a top hunter with his own help. That thrill wakes the vessel inside the progenitor, who reveals that Midori Ikara was the one who found his hidden talent. But that only made his mother cry. For his goodbye, she packed his breakfast in a disposable container so he wouldn't have to carry anything back. Minato looked downcast, worrying if her son would have to face so many dangers. Midori admits her suspicions are right. She told me her son has always looked up to the legendary heroes, and that is exactly why he wants to be a hunter. She feels honored for raising him, but she's also scared for his safety. Midori warns that this job is full of dangers, some of which we can't even foresee. But he promises her he'll train Minato to become a mighty warrior just like the heroes he admires. Her mother's eyes glisten with deep emotion. She thanks him for all the help he's giving her son. As the car drives on, Ren looks in the rearview mirror at a mother giving her son simple advice about food and laundry, while her son promises to do his best to keep his word. No matter what happens, it's time to head out. Minato flashes a bright, gem-like smile as he reminds his mother to look after herself. So the mother watches her son leave, then calls out to ask him to come home for New Year's, and he looks back at her with tears in his eyes. Finally, Monadu steps into the next chapter of his life. But Midori asks if he's truly ready to leave, and the boy gives a firm yes. The old prophecy warns that if he takes one last look at his mother, he might suddenly change his mind and feel too scared to leave. Since the journey is long, the blonde tells him to just relax by eating or sleeping. Minato gazes at the bag his mother gave him. Inside, his lunch is neatly packed and waiting. He lifts the lid to reveal his meal. His eyes glowed with deep feeling. It's his favorite meal, and on top of that, his mom left him a note wishing him good luck. Looking back at every moment they've shared, he thanks her for it all. The boy eats with tears in his eyes, overwhelmed by how tasty the food is. Ren acts like a cold, serious stranger, while Midori leans back in her seat to relax, letting both of them enjoy the ride in their own quiet way. The sun shines bright and warm over the mountains. Manhwa peers out the window and wonders what kind of place they've ended up in. Midori greets him with a bright smile. This is a rare group where only a handful of transcendent beings are members. They call it the Counter-Prophecy Unit or CPU, and he warmly greets him once more at the headquarters. Minato wonders what the place is called. From a window, a pair of eyes keeps a watch on them. The man shouts that the new guest has finally arrived. The new person has stepped in to join the group. The woman holding her teacup asks if they've found a new teammate yet. The boy says that bringing in new people is always a thrill. The redhead wants to wait and see if this person will really become a true partner, because only time will tell if they are truly worthy of joining the Counter-Prophecy Unit. Minato faces a new challenge and, curious about the place, asks more before apologizing for his ignorance since he thought he was joining the same guild as the blonde, prompting Ren to apologize for not explaining sooner. Because the details were a top secret, they couldn't even whisper a word to his mother. Midori tells him to move his things into the dorm, and the assistant even steps up to help carry them, but Minato politely turns them down. Suddenly, a boy pops up in midair to show him the way. He rushes right in to strike the main ship, only to be shocked when his hit gets blocked, making him realize just how strong his opponent really is. The odd boy springs off again and hits the ground with perfect control. He steps forward and tells everyone his name is Hikataro Hanada, a member of the CPU. Midori watches the scene and asks the woman to bring tea, all just so he can keep enjoying the fight. Minato reminds them they belong to the same guild and asks why he's doing this. The answer is that this is the best way to teach him about the place and also a chance to test his skills, with the dark-haired boy holding his ground while Hikotra presses on with his attacks. Minato catches the kick but still feels the hard thump in his chest. The blonde offers to tell him how the Counter-Prophecy Unit started while the other marvels that he can fight and talk at the same time. Hippotro leans in and asks him for his name. Minato makes his introduction while Midori calmly sips his tea. He remembers the boy passing the hunter exam and then the bonus test. After proving his worth to an S-rank hunter, he is now facing his toughest test at headquarters. It feels like the boy was born just to be tested, and Ren says there's no cure for that, while the woman reminds Midori that he is the one who brought him in. Right in the middle of the battle, Hikotra asks what hunters do, and Manhwa replies that their job is to swiftly wipe out monsters that escape from the rifts. Getting the right answer makes the blonde girl beam with a smile. To make things even stranger, he mentions that they work like exterminators. The next question was about other disasters that really confuse the progenitor vessel, so the blonde kid explains that sometimes calamities are so terrible that dimensional rifts don't even compare, like the Pandemonium incident from 10 years ago or the Kyushu outbreak from 5 years ago, which makes Minad surprised because he thought those were caused by major dimensional rifts. When you lose, an eye watches. Hikataro still hasn't let his guard down, knowing the duel isn't over yet. He says that's what the training schools teach and what regular folks believe. But the real tale hasn't even begun yet. He waits for the perfect moment to strike again right before he tells the truth. Things aren't quite what they seem, and as the ground shakes under the impact, everything begins to tremble. The kick knocks the tree the other boy is hiding behind right out from under him. Turns out those scary moments weren't just bad luck, but actual invaders from a different world. It was a crisis as bad as the monster tower that showed up 300 years ago. Minato is left stunned, but the worst part is that these creatures aren't even thinking about stopping their attack. Someone from another world has been peeking at everyone, just waiting for the perfect moment to attack. For some reason, Transcendents are far weaker than the Tower of Time, with only a few as strong as the progenitors, which is why they have come here. Those who can see the future work hard to stop disasters, and a special team of fighters uses the CPU to make sure nothing bad happens. Midori beams with pride as they listen to the conversation unfold. Minad still wasn't sure he had it right, so he clarified that the CPU is actually a group dedicated to stopping prophecies. Hikatara admits that no one else could stop him from kicking so many times in a row. He beamed with a huge smile, saying it was a real joy to meet him and warmly welcoming him. Midori loves to watch what is happening. Suddenly, the boy kicking his feet grabbed everyone's attention to shout that the dark-haired one had passed his test. Something had been watching them the whole time. Hikotaro then asks the group if they have now reached Minato, the place beyond the CPU. They vanish instantly, leaving Midori totally surprised. The boy who kicked him then suggests they might have to test the progenitor's vessel on their own. With that settled, he grabs the suitcase and shows the way to the dorm. It's not long until the dark comes down. Minato sits alone in his private room. He ponders how the CPU's only mission is to battle every prophecy of a world-ending threat and stop it from happening. He wonders if a day will ever come when a disaster as terrible as the Great Tower strikes, and whether he will be strong enough to fight it. Just as he starts to worry, Raikira pops up and says the only way out is to train hard. The boy is totally caught off guard by this. It's not just the swordsman who has arrived, other famous heroes are there too. He explains he couldn't share the news sooner because things kept going wrong, but now he wants to tell him everything the ancestors have decided. They've decided to make Minato the most powerful being ever, surpassing Midori and everyone else, so they want him to train with the original gods. The boy stood frozen, completely shocked by what he'd just seen. He looks at the heroes and asks if they truly want him to be their student. He's still trying to figure out why, since he was sure they only wanted to take over his body. Rikiro says he'd be fine with it, but Minato worries that if they all want it, they'll start fighting, so he begs them not to fight for his sake. The swordsman admitted they started with that plan, but watching him fight made them change their minds. They discovered a smarter way that doesn't involve him, and everyone is happy with the new plan. They decided it would be more fun to teach him a lesson. Ryuro wonders if the boy truly remembers the poison user he once beat, even if he had only seen a few of that fighter's tricks, because the boy managed to copy them perfectly and, even if they weren't as exact as the originals, he still won the fight. Raichiro leans in and asks if anyone can truly grasp just how impressive that moment was. He isn't sure if the Mark of the Void is the cause, but the swordsman thinks the boy's real gift is stealing other people's powers, which makes him far stronger than the progenitors. The instant Minato heard Rikiro say that, tears sprang to his eyes and he was instantly thrown back to the days of his exams. Even when everyone laughed at him and said he was hopeless, no one ever truly believed in him. Even though many called him a loser and said he'd never make it, he kept going. Minato had never heard of anyone failing the hunter exam 3 times in a row. So many people judged him and asked why he couldn't just give up. It was the day reporters said it didn't matter who he was. Even Casey, who was trying to get rid of him, didn't even know his name. No one ever thought Minato would have a future until Midori's mother saw his amazing potential. Raikiro also claimed he could become the greatest transcendent in the world. He can't help but wonder if he really deserves this, given everything he's been through. Tears streaming down his face, Minato begged to know if he could finally let himself be happy, even just once. He has loved these people for years and never dreamed he would actually meet them. Right now, the founders are there, and they truly believe in him. Rairo, puzzled by the response, lets a small smile creep across his face. Then he asks the boy why he's crying. In the end, they live and breathe through him, and when Minato sleeps, they break free from time and space altogether. The swordsman declares he has grand plans for us and promises to train us for a full 100 real hours every day starting right now. During the day, the boy stands by the CPU's side to battle the prophecy. But while the others sleep, the progenitors will use the night to train him while he dreams. From that day on, Mano never got a moment's rest. Rikiro thinks he's all set for what's coming. The boy thinks about what was said. Still crying, he finally agrees. He feels truly honored just to be learning from all of them. While this quiet meeting happens under the cover of night, the day soon breaks and morning arrives. Kiko leans in and listens closely to the sounds around him. Soon, the sound of footsteps echoes through the air. He smiles and turns to welcome the person. Minato offers a morning greeting, then instantly spots how exhausted the dark-haired boy seems. The vessel of the progenitors says he's still getting used to things, and the blonde laughs, noting that his first day was just the same. But Hiko senses something deeper lurking beneath the surface. He spots a thin, glowing light surrounding the boy. Suddenly, his eyes go wide as the truth finally clicks into place. The blonde tries another kick, but Minato easily dodges it and spits. With a smile, the once loser asks for a moment to get his head right before saying he'll catch him in the hall. Hiko stands there, totally baffled that his kick was somehow faster than yesterday. Everyone crowds into the CPU's dining hall for breakfast. Along with Minato, the blonde kid cheers that a great spot is open, only to find someone else already sitting there. He politely asks if the girl would mind if they joined her. She keeps eating, and Hiko sits down, telling the boy beside him to do the same. Suddenly, Minato realizes that this woman is one of the people the kicking boy talked about. Finally, she speaks to say he's the new kid, and it's clear she's not happy to see him. Above the smile, the former loser introduces himself, but she brushes it off, saying she doesn't care about his name and doesn't want to know it. She points her fork at him like a weapon, saying she won't even call him by his name until he proves he is worthy. It's time to train because soon they will have to handle a prophecy, and she says Minato will be involved too. In 1945, explorers found the first prophecy book resting beneath the frozen ice of Antarctica. It lay hidden deep beneath nearly 3 kilometers of ice. A man reached out and pulled the book from its hiding place. A crooked, childlike hand scrawled a title listing the world's end within 80 years, and while Manette apologizes for dodging the question about whether anyone truly believes these prophecies, the girl insists it doesn't matter since she still doesn't know his name, demanding only that he finally answer. He says the prophecies are coming true, but she tells him to stop pretending. The girl with lilac eyes whispers that if even one promise came true, the whole world would vanish. Knowing this terrifies him, so Minato, driven to desperation, asks the blonde how many prophecies are out there. With a nervous smile, Hiko mutters a number that terrifies him and worries that the world might end any second now. To calm his fears, Midori shows him that the CPU has already stopped about 180 of them. The old ship returns to the tale of people trusting in prophecy, but the girl with purple eyes reminds us of the explorer who found the Book of Doom. He was a man named Barnard Russell. She asked the boy if he knew what happened when he opened the book and saw the first page. The explorer's eyes went wide with surprise. They even said his name and told him exactly how to find the book. Deep in the city of Sumida, Tokyo, a medium-sized rift to another dimension has opened up. A little girl in purple walks closer even as police tell her to stay back, and she won't listen. Then the girl describes how high-ranking transcendent beings stopped a third world war, a dark moon, a biological attack, and a giant flying tree before they could cause disasters. Midori actually just cleaned up that crazy mess. No matter what, the Book of Doom isn't the only prophecy out there, which means there must be many others just like it. To handle these problems, the counter-prophecy unit was set up and is still around today. The job system has 4 danger levels, starting with small neighborhood threats and going all the way up to an emergency that could wipe out the whole world. Minato wonders if they're heading to the rift to stop another prophecy, and the girl confirms it's just something the CPU crew does normally. The man in the suit signals for Caress to hide as he tries to convince you that the approaching strangers are harmless. The man orders them to step back because things are serious, and the girl rushes to add that they're facing a medium-sized level 3 prophecy. She says it's written in a dusty third-class book called the Golden Poetry Anthology. Then, as the rift opens, the girl speaks, leaving everyone shocked and confused by what they're seeing. Right away, tall monsters burst out of it. Karasagi steps forward and gets ready to fight. The man shoots the first barrier. But those wolf-like humans are already tearing things apart. He realizes this might be too hard for the lower-ranked members to handle, and he also gets a bad feeling about the energy. To make matters even worse, the big boss monster is about to come out. The man then turned his gaze toward the strangers. To him, they looked completely at peace. Kurosagi insists there is no reason for any civilians to be there. The girl turns her back on him and calls out to Trismegistus. Liquid metal swirls around her hand and then splits into sharp blades. The wolves lunged at the people, but they were swiftly skewered by her spears. She strikes with such power that not one monster remains standing. Now is the moment for the yellow lightning. Hiko instantly sweeps aside everyone standing in his way. Kurosagi is amazed and can't help but wonder who these people are, especially since they look way stronger than him, even though he's already an S-rank hunter. Then the girl with purple eyes tells him that right now, he is just a civilian, not one of them. The man spots the marks and fears they belong to the government, but suddenly, huge claws and terrible eyes even scarier than the small evil wolves burst out of the rift. Even they know this is a huge problem. This beast, Guile, is definitely an S-rank monster. As they rush forward, the scared Karase shouts for everyone to be careful. Everyone jumps in to fight the beast from their own unique angle. But Hiko soon finds that his kicks aren't hurting the creature at all. He thinks it's wearing armor that can't be hurt by a punch or a stab. Giller Renal aims right at the girl. She spreads her liquid like a shield to protect herself. Suddenly, Minato shows up right in front of her. The boy stands calm around his powerful energy and holds out just one hand to stop the giant wolf in its tracks. The beast charges forward with raw strength, but every push just chips away at its own armor. A massive boom shakes the air, leaving everyone staring in awe at the chaos of the fight. Hiko says getting up close and personal is the only way to do it. The blonde boy couldn't stop wondering how Minato managed to knock out an S-rank monster with a single hit, especially since he'd felt something strange about the morning. Then he sees that the boy has grown so much stronger in just one day that it feels almost impossible to believe. The purple-eyed girl breaks the silence by telling Minato he could have said what he was going to do first. The boy knows that to defeat an opponent who won't give up, he must fill himself with power and tear them apart from the inside out. He practiced this move with Tong, the legendary fist, the night before. The first jab is the simplest punch anyone can learn. Minato still can't believe it worked out so quickly. He cuts off his thoughts and looks at the girl. He politely asks her to share her name now since it's easier to ask for help once they're inside, and she introduces herself to the newcomer as Kong Shinomiya. Ho doesn't waste a second and keeps kicking. The other wolves suffer from the liquid the purple-eyed girl releases. Then, she pulls out the Mercurius reject. With the destruction right before him, the blonde boy nods that Minato was right, and Ain agrees as he sees that striking from the inside is the way to win. Then she reaches out to the new guy. Now is the time to bring it all to a close. Kurosagi calls this madness, believing that diving into the rift to reach another dimension is the kind of foolish choice only a fool would make. Minato nods right away and steps through the broken doorway into a strange new world. The man stands frozen, looking like a total fool. He has never seen anyone like those three, who seem to be part of the secret organization he only heard rumors about. Suddenly, even bigger wolves come running to attack. Aee realizes these are exactly the same creatures that stepped through the rift. She's had enough of all this trouble. She hurls her glowing mercury sword in every direction, turning it into a storm of sharp spears. As Minato watches in awe at the girl's power, the blonde boy notes that she becomes even more dangerous when unleashing wide-area attacks. Suddenly, an even larger armored wolf emerges. She shouts for Hio, and he rushes over to help right away. Just as the monster is about to strike, he springs into the air. The boy even laughs at it, claiming he's up on the ceiling. Hiko moves with incredible speed, firing off quick shots in a flash. Minato is so amazed by the whole scene, but now it's his turn to play, too. Just like the boy who kicks, he copies every move, and the blonde kid is thrilled to see his friend master the same tricks. With so many things to finish, they run through everything without wasting a single second. Unfortunately, On can't see what's coming, and soon they'll have to face something much bigger. Something makes the progenitor vessel feel confused, and he wants to know what this large empty room is. Suddenly, something comes rushing toward them, stealing their focus. The ground shakes just from the sound of his footsteps. Minato screams that the thing is huge and scary, and Hiko thinks it must be the boss. The monsters roar loudly, warning them of the blind minotaur and an even bigger shrink they must face. Ain looks calm and says it has finally appeared, asking if that is truly the boss of this place. She doesn't wait for a reply, she just calls out her Tris Majestus. A ring of light closes around the huge minotaur. Sharp blades start to appear in the light, revealing her mighty El Dorado. She follows one unwavering rule: whenever she meets a powerful enemy, she blasts it with her strongest attack immediately, then begs the boss to finish the fight for her so she can keep the battle going as long as possible. It's Heiko's turn, and he admits he wishes he had flashy powers like hers, but the boy reassures her that he's here and she has nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, Minato watches the two powerful figures. But he knows something is wrong with the attack. The blonde boy feels uneasy hearing that, but Ain asks if he's criticizing her powerful move, only for the miner to suddenly make a new move that makes them realize the new guy might actually be right. That creature's blast hits even harder than before. With one powerful hit, it tears a chunk out of the big room. Even after they attacked it 100 times, there isn't a single scratch on it. That sends a chill through them as they finally see just how dangerous things really are. Right then, one of the originators speaks up and tells everyone the girl has a special talent. The boy stands there, totally baffled by whatever Killick just said. He points out that she possesses spellcasting, precision, and style, and since the alchemist has rarely seen such incredible skills in someone so young, he agrees that under normal circumstances, she could have easily defeated the enemy. But he knows there's a problem waiting to ruin his plan. She simply walked right through the boss, since he couldn't be hurt by any punch or kick. Minato then asks how they plan to beat the Minotaur. Instead of talking, the progenitor chooses to show him. Without hearing the talk, Ho figures out the beast can't be hurt, and he wishes he'd brought a mage along. The real surprise isn't that she didn't show up, but that the progenitor ship always has something up its sleeve. Killick asks to use Minato's body to put on a little show for the young lady. Mercurius kicks off with even bigger power. The liquid clings to the monster's skin, pinning it down. The display sends shivers down the lilac girl's spine. She screams at Minato to explain the crazy trick he pulled with her power, then immediately wonders what the kid is up to. The alchemist laughs and calls her a fool, claiming that hitting her with a weapon won't work. He says she's stuck because she only knows one thing so well, and she still has a long way to go to learn more. He also insists that a real alchemist knows how to tell the three states of matter apart and use each one just right. With Mercury in charge, he turns the monster into a steaming pot of boiling water. Kill is using heat instead of a punch to make the liquid boil. She couldn't believe he could control the heat so easily, thinking he was still just a human. As the alchemist watched the girl's new cane, he told his student that he was so impressed he wanted her to become his new apprentice. The monster falls to the ground. It set out to make the grade 3 prophecy from the Golden Poetry Anthology come true. Minato watches everyone cheering as she defeats the blind Minotaur boss. The job is finally done. Even though everyone is celebrating, Ain still can't believe what just happened. In the end, transcendants are only meant to master the techniques of their own mark, so she figured Minato was just like Heiko. While she's deep in her own thoughts, the boy reaches out his hand. He smiles, repeats his name, and asks a Shinomiya to remember it. It feels like an insult, and it makes her seethe. She has no choice but to take it. Seeing Miss make Hiko happy because his partner finally accepted the new guy as part of the CPU. Karasagi and his team stay outside until someone sees the rift starting to close. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Minato suddenly steps out of the rift. Hiko steps forward next, and the former loser reaches out to help the girl too. Everyone stares in awe that they made it through. The crack keeps sealing up, and all we have to do now is give the word that the mission is done. A voice calls out to Minato, and Karasi steps forward to thank him for rescuing him and his team. The man is eager to learn who they are and what went on inside the rift, but he's sure they aren't allowed to share those secrets. AI steps forward and says that all he needs to do when writing the mission report is simply draw the symbols, so no one will ever ask any questions. He nods and promises to call if it happens again, but the girl with purple eyes tells him not to worry because it's something that almost never happens. She lets them know they'll never see each other again and tells Karasi and his men they can return to their ordinary days. The man bursts out laughing, suddenly remembering that they are the ones who need protection here. On May 11th, a red lightning bolt streaked through the cave village of Imperfecture faster than the eye could follow. Something really weird is going on over there. Back at the CPU headquarters, AAI starts talking about writing their report, but Hiko cuts in to say they've been called over to the research lab. When they stepped into conference room 3, it looked empty. They get a strange feeling that everything isn't right. Two people stand in the room while the redhead shouts at a can. He can't help but wonder why they took so long for something as simple as a level 3 mission. Minato suddenly realizes that he was one of the people watching him that day. He tells the redhead to chill out because she's the boss around here. He cuts right to the chase and asks the director why they were called. But Curry then asks them to take a look at a photo that just came in from the interpretation team. Ain was the first to wonder if that strange thing was just a lump of coal. Then he discovers it's actually a book of ancient prophecies. They found a puzzle near a volcano that was so hard to crack that even curious Minato wondered how anyone managed to solve it. The man says the recent AI technology managed to crack the code on part of the text. There is so much information, but one shocking detail about Japan stands out. An wonders if this is an entirely new prophecy. The rookie wonders if this is normal, but Hiko shakes his head, admitting he has never heard of anything like it before. The CPU is highly respected by researchers, which allows them to collect prophecies from everywhere, but they have never seen a new one like this before. Shinji tells the director he thinks they'll be sent to investigate. The man agrees that the regular crew will have to take the lead on the real strike, but they're all busy on other missions right now. Now that these four are on board, he wants them to dive into the prophecy first and he'll follow up with an email full of details. What shocks Minato is that they're immediately sent off on a new mission. To them, it was just normal, and the rookie realized he really should have taken the job's toughness more seriously. No matter what, the redhead takes the mission and claims the other three as his team, which really grates on the purple-eyed girl. Since there's no rating for the prophecy yet, they are warned to stay careful and wait for help to arrive if it starts coming true. Minad stares off into space, his heart pounding with fear as he realizes this secret mission leads into unknown territory. Shija urges them to rest so they don't ruin the mission, but Ain fires back that she's not the boss and he doesn't need sleep. But the rookie argues he'll just close his eyes for a moment, and even Hiko thinks it's a good idea. Ain's defeat comes when they sleep. She keeps fighting back and says she won't close her eyes. But the fight doesn't last long before the girl loses, and a sudden shout of her name jolts on awake, with her insisting she never slept. She gets angry at Minato for letting her sleep, but the rookie points out something right outside her window. Something really weird is happening. Bewildered, she asks what he really means. You can't walk a step without running into those strange, red pillars. Kiko tells us this matters a great deal. He says the prophecy won't be long in coming true. An whispers that this is the biggest magic circle she's ever seen and that the pillars must hold the remains of the 23 villagers from the report. Shinji realizes this case feels just like the vanished apartment in Wakima, where a doorway to another world almost opened up. Suddenly, the stone pillars start to shine with a bright, eerie light. Seeing this, Aang shouts that there's no time to lose. Hiko leans in to ask what the plan actually is. Shinki snatches up his weapon and shouts that they're definitely stopping the prophecy. Then A reminds him of the director's words. Suddenly, a burst of power jumps out from behind him, making them both jump. Just like before, Minato's strong and commanding presence is what makes everyone feel it. The boy grinned and asked if they were ready to start. The girl with soft lilac eyes is amazed, realizing how much stronger he has become since the morning. Seeing this, Shinji declares that there's no need to wait any longer. He jumps ahead and shouts, "Come with me." The canyon never wastes a single moment complaining that it isn't in charge. The pillars are pouring out light even brighter than before. The mage said it's been a long time since she caught that smell, and Raichiro nodded like he remembered sensing it before they passed. A red glow spills from the tombstone as a hand pushes up from the dirt below. The smell the ancestors sense is from a forbidden spell. The prophecy says that when the beast wakes up and is banished to the underworld, the bright red moon will start to fade. There stands Shirjima Bando, a sorcerer so powerful he seems like a legend from the very edge of reality. After slaughtering many in the Golden Age, he was finally defeated by a fortune-telling priest who had been his own friend. He rushes into the village, saying he barely has time to spare. But don't worry, because only 1,000 years must pass before he wakes up again. And so he will be born again as the Demon King, Lord of the world who will eat all life. Before he passes away, Shima Bando whispers a cursed spell that kills every living thing inside the circle so he can come back to life later. We have to stop the new prophecy written in the Book of Hell. A new boss named Shima Bando has arrived, but nobody knows how strong he really is. The sorcerer grumbled that waking up with such weak magic was a shock, and now he demands more sacrifices to get stronger. He realized the place had grown much darker than it was 1,000 years ago. Yet, he still feels fresh prey close by. He triggers the Circle of Doom, sending out a massive blast wave. Fearing for his friends, Minato shouts out to them. Pico says he shouldn't worry about the other two. It's the newcomer who steps in to warn them of the danger lurking below. Neither of them had seen it coming, but hands were rising from a magic circle to trap them with the deadly power of death. Stuck and confused, they can't figure out how the enemy keeps firing off powerful attacks one after another without any pause. The sorcerer is so mighty that beating him will be a real challenge. Shima catches a glimpse of something out of the corner of his eye. Minato reaches for a punch, but he slips away just in time. The boy tries the same move as Heiko but fails, and while the sorcerer sees his hidden talent, he says it needs more work before trapping the boy inside his magic circle. A bright flash of light suddenly goes off. But the boss suddenly sees that something isn't right. Minato slips right out of the trap with a simple trick he learned right at the start, called Hadad. Even so, the sorcerer steps forward to protect himself. Suddenly, the boy dangles high above the ground, frozen in mid-air. For Shajima, things weren't bad at all. No matter what happens, Shinji is ready to make the most of this chance. He quietly lunges with his dagger and blindsides the boss using a powerful Marigold blast. The redhead was dead set on landing a hit. Shima ducks the blow and laughs, calling it a waste. He finds the whole thing funny, but the boy already knew it would take more than that to get him down, so he uses the Autumn Thistle's power, which makes the boss laugh because it looks like it's raining as the ability slices sword beams into many rays. Shinji blocks the strike so well that the sorcerer is amazed and admits he is truly strong. Meanwhile, Minato watches in amazement, trying to figure out just how powerful this guy really is. After all, he is totally unlike anyone he has ever faced, feeling stronger than even the Ancient Ones or Midori, so the boy wonders what he should do next. A voice calls his name, reminding him of the friends he's working to set free. The canyon urges him not to stand still, while Shima Bando shouts that they must stay out of his way. He draws up a bunch of unique magic circles. From them rise bone spirits, hungry for flesh. But that wasn't enough to hold them back. But it still didn't work because every one of those creatures was far more powerful than the Minotaur. And just to make matters even worse, there are 3 of them. Minato's hand glows as he steps forward with a look of pure confidence on his face. After stepping back into the fight, Shujima reveals that the poor boy is now all alone. The redhead doesn't need help after making his first cut, so he shows that he's ready to go it alone. Just as he thought he was safe, someone yells for him to pull back. He's got this all under control on his own. The red-headed girl says the only thing you can count on in this world is your own strength, and the laughing boss agrees with her. After all, he doesn't need any help, so he plans to devour them all, which makes the sorcerer go all out. Shinji digs deep and fights back with all his might. Once more, he shouts his name. Minato steps in to lend a hand. The dark mark glows with an even sharper light. Shima can't help but wonder what the boy is up to and where his bone spirits have gone. As the other 2 battles rage on, he has already won the 3rd fight before it even began. And to make things even crazier, he actually manages to throw a punch right at the boss. His blow hits with such force that it feels like a thunderclap. Even Shinji is shocked, so the boy tells him not to fight by himself. The wizard drinks from his own vial. Minato knows they must join forces to beat the boss as the full moon throws its light onto the fight. Shinji stared at him, completely frozen in shock. Even Hiko and Ani couldn't bring those monsters down so fast. The redhead wonders how the boy managed to pull that off, even though their battles are still going on. But no matter what, he won't stand and fight with anyone. Shinji stands firm, saying he has no need for anyone's help. He's going to hunt down that scumbag all by himself. Shima is thrilled by the prospect of facing the sorcerer in a one-on-one battle. Shinji barely dodges in the nick of time. The sorcerer unleashes a blinding flash that threatens to tear the world apart. As a result, Minato is flung flying through the air while Shujima laughs with pure joy at the sight. In that split second, Shinji grabs his chance to strike once more. The ground around them is shattered by the boss's terrifying power, and Minato looks like he's been battered almost to pieces. He is still healing from what went down. Suddenly, he finds himself somewhere else and wonders why. Rikiro told them he passed out for a second, so they rushed to call his name while he was down. Minato tries to speak, but a sharp pain cuts him off before he can say a word. No matter what happens, talking is over because he wants to fight again while they try to make the boy stop. That catches him off guard. Outside, the battle rages on as Shima admits he and the redhead feel the same way, a confession that alarms Shin since he knows he can't win, so the sorcerer agrees it's wise to keep others out of this. That's why he'll eat them all by himself. The boss throws out attacks that are even stronger now. It gets tougher for the swordsman. He works to make his sword sharper before trying to strike the enemy again. Shujima laughs, saying he hasn't had this much fun in 100 years. While Shinji pushes himself to the absolute limit, Raikiro warns that even though the red-haired warrior is stronger than Hiko and acts like a cannon, he is still not a sorcerer like her. That's why the boy has no way to win right now. The mage warns that the enemy is using a forbidden resurrection spell so powerful, it's like nothing the world has ever seen before. If he were in a crowded city, there would be enough people around him to finally make him the Demon King. She told the boy to ignore how eating Minato's soul would make him stronger and just watch out for the boss's attacks. They never saw this strange prophecy coming, but Minato just happened to get picked to deal with it. Ryuro begs Manhwa to lend him his body to fight in his place, but Manhwa refuses. The boy insists this isn't just training, it's a real battle. He knows that in the future, the hard things he faces might not always match his special talents. The boy gives a confident smile and asks his masters for the green light. Even though the situation is dangerous, the mage still wants you to stay back. Roro's laughter shatters his companion's doubt, reminding him that the boy is right and that his true goal is to surpass all the progenitors, so the swordsman steps up to tell his apprentice to give it his all. Rei tells him to use all his hard work to stop the sorcerer, no matter what it takes. Minato promises he will do exactly that. The boy turns around to face his creators and promises that he will never let them down. He dashes away, eager to jump back into the fight. Raikiro feels the biggest excitement whenever he sees how determined his students are. In the middle of the fight, Shima laughs at his opponent for having no moves left. Then he seizes the moment to strike a blow. Shinji jumps back to get away from something much worse. Even so, the sorcerer says it is time to bring an end to everything. No matter what comes next, the redhead isn't going to quit. He's not sure if this really is the end of his story. Out of nowhere, a hand snatches his sword right from his grip. It surprises him completely. Minato asks to borrow the weapon for just a moment. Shinji is trying to figure out what the new guy is really up to. He keeps catching him off guard at every twist. Minato builds up speed the moment he hits the ground. Meanwhile, Shima Bando is getting ready to strike again. With a wild sword flourish, Minato unleashes a blinding ray of light that looks like the end of the world. He's ready to pull out his next ace, watching two energy blasts from Seatorm/Crash head-on. The boy's power is so amazing that the old sorcerer can't help but wonder what it really is. He is desperate to find out who this person is. A new arrival steps forward to introduce himself as Minato Kanagi, the one destined to outshine every originator. The swordsman asks the mage if she thinks he knows who won. For the woman, it's a tough situation since all she can do is wait and watch. But for Raichiro, Minato isn't a fool. He wonders if the boy is learning something new while getting sleep training done in the car. With a wide grin, he thinks his apprentice has a secret plan while Minato charges forward in the fight. Shinji watches the greenhorn charge straight at the enemy. The world's most powerful master of the future art swings his sword so fast that it seems to move on its own. The sorcerer couldn't even believe his eyes, staring at the boy in wonder and wondering who he really was. Shinji recalls the brash kid who wanted to team up, only for the arrogant redhead to prove that he works alone. It looks like he's getting a bit annoyed by that. For the time being, all he can do is stand there and watch the fight unfold. Minato fought the boss with all his might, but then crimson orbs suddenly appeared as the sorcerer unleashed his forbidden power. The boy slips out of the way just in time to avoid the blasts. But the energy turns around and starts chasing him. Minato thinks those blasts will chase him until they hit something, so he steps right in front of them to take the hit. The boy comes up with a clever plan. Tak Wong watches with a deep sense of pride. After all, his student had trained hard right alongside him. Minato slams his foot down to raise a stone shield against the red blasts, but the sorcerer laughs, thinking it's a silly trick to hide behind rocks. Minato keeps his eyes open and his mind sharp for anything happening all around him. He builds up more walls to keep the pain outside. Smoke billows up from the blast, but Shujima can't help but stare in awe as the former loser is still standing. He picks up a trick from Yerson, then blends his foot moves with light reflections to turn the tables. He slips quietly behind the boss without a single stumble. Minato didn't hesitate, swinging his blade to slice right through the sorcerer. Shujima Bando is shocked by just how powerful the kid is. So, as his plan, he tries to trap them in a circle of doom. Then he turns his back just as chaos erupts around him, but Minato manages to slip free from the danger. He can't afford to forget the basics, which means putting everything he's learned to use. He charged straight at the sorcerer for a direct hit, only to end up dodging the magic while it still managed to strike him. Shujima thinks the boy's cool moves are great, but he's not convinced the kid has the power to be a real danger yet. Though he says he doesn't care, he really wants to know how many powers that kid has, while the elders watch closely, trying to figure out how a boy used monster tricks against a living sorcerer. No one believed he could get so much better so quickly. She keeps her eyes locked on her pupil fighting against their old friend. Even Shima Bando admits that the boy is a real treat to watch. Now comes the forbidden spell that makes the ancient guardians jump on high alert. While the Kaonite battles the bone monster, he suddenly senses something weird. Out of nowhere, a huge monster rises right in the center of the battlefield. It leaves her terrified. A huge skull with 3 faces glows with the rotting light of decaying flesh. The sorcerer thanks Minato for the fun but admits he isn't good enough, so their fight ends as his desperate masters beg him to run away right now. He just stands there, listening to the same words over and over until he is too weak to fight back. Minato knows he's telling the truth because even giving it his all, he just isn't strong enough to win yet. So he pushes his mind to the limit, desperate to find a way to break through his own boundaries. The mage offers to teach him a simple spell he needs right now. They call it Jera, a tiny flame held in his hand. Suddenly, the boy's hand glows with a brilliant light. Hananoi style focuses on both how you look and how you fight, while Seastorm Slash is a move that lets you slice right through your enemies. As he drives the blade down on his foe, he must act without a single flicker of fear or doubt, locking his eyes solely on the life he is about to take. Minato grips the sword with his other hand. The guy who used to be a loser now looks totally different, burning bright with fire. Even the mighty mage can't believe what he is seeing. Raikiro is just another person who stands amazed at what he has just seen. Shujima Bando now has to get ready for all the challenges he will face. This was a brand new move invented by Minato Kani that would one day get its own name, a shimmering slash. The sorcerer gets hit fast, his big bone shield can't stop it, and suddenly the world's strongest hero isn't as tough as he thought. Minato listened closely to his master, learning about the many different kinds of power. Raikiro said that what they see looks different to everyone, like a thin thread trying to cut through tight lines, so he asked Mat Ada to tell him exactly what she's seeing. The boy stares right ahead, all his attention locked on one thing. He searches desperately for a sign of life within Shima Bando. Manhwa sees a lamp with a frightening and hazy flame surrounded by darkness through the storm slash. Now that the fire inside him is blazing brighter than ever, he is finally free from being consumed. His shimmering slash smashed through the giant made of bones and sliced the sorcerer right in half. Even Minato's masters were left impressed because he did something truly amazing. He mixes his sword moves with powerful magic to fight. The alchemist jumps with joy, surprising his friends with how thrilled he is to discover all this amazing stuff. He realized Minato's true power isn't just switching between techniques, but combining them to unlock endless new possibilities. Rikiro notices his companion acting a bit odd, but since the mage is an alchemist, he realizes that if Rikiro is right, they have completely misunderstood the student's true skills. That's why she wonders if teaching Minato is a good idea, but the swordsman is certain it is. They need to see just how far he will go, while the boy looks completely worn out as the sorcerer's split body starts to bubble and heal itself. It lasted just a flash of time before it was gone. Shujima Bando admits that if he had lost his cool, he'd surely be dead, especially since he was caught off guard. But he won't let that happen ever again. He never imagined it would come to pass so fast, thanks to Shinji's wild chameleons. Shima lost track of him while fighting Manano. But the redhead is back. He dives into the fierce battle to pull his exhausted friend to safety. The sorcerer can only stand there and watch while Shinja guards the now sleeping Minato. His face shifts when he sees the place. Then he is whisked away to a memory from his past. Hara holds his coughing friend tight, worries about the chill, and asks Haru to wait out the night until morning comes. Shima promises to hunt for food the moment the sun comes up, but Haru just stands there without saying a word. The young man calls his name with a scared look on his face. The cart takes his passengers along. Shujima huddles together, using everything he can find to keep the cold away. The travelers are surrounded by great joy. As the young man wonders why he must suffer alone, he realizes that being by himself feels both freeing and terribly lonely. Shujima vanishes into the air like melting snow, and the redhead finally realizes it, understanding that he's never truly alone, even if being by himself never bothered him before. Suddenly, he feels something's wrong, and it isn't a good sign. Taiko and On sprint to their partner as the girl shouts his name. She checks to see if Manada is breathing, and Shinji replies that he doesn't look badly hurt. The girl with lilac eyes feels grateful for that. Heiko feels relief that everyone is safe for the moment, but he knows it's not time to get too happy yet. He tells them the barrier is crumbling like a giant mouth ready to swallow the whole village, and if the energy keeping it up suddenly explodes from the inside, they'll be crushed and die. Shinji proposes they use their powers to undo the effect, but with so little strength left, he doubts they can pull it off. Even though it's hard, the friends still try. All they have to do is give it their all. Minato has returned, and he brings his sword with him. Shinji notices the rookie has woken up, looking totally different with a calm aura around him. But the boy isn't the one calling the shots. He's catching his breath after a great fight where he kept his promise to his masters, and his mentors are really proud of him. The shield is splitting open with every passing moment. Together, the Transcendent Ones combine their powers, with Reiki drawing strength from his Hainoi Cloud Beam sword technique. From far away, you can see someone running. One asks the boss what's happening, and they realize it's the barrier. They think it's too late, but maybe there is still a chance. In the middle of the chaos, they spot a light from Minato getting bigger and bigger, creating a truly amazing explosion of swords. Captain Makoto sees clearly that the SU unit is meant to stop the prophecy. All Makoto wants to know is,